Welcome into the Creighton Basketball Newsletter. I'm Jon Nyatawa here for another week of Jays Hoops Talk. And it's game week, kind of, sort of, right? I mean, exhibition, so it doesn't necessarily count in terms of statistics, win-loss record, but for a lot of Creighton fans, myself included, really eager to see and interested to see how this team looks. A bunch of newcomers, some veterans taking on some new roles. It could be a lot of fun. So the Jays are going to debut, I guess unofficially, in front of the public in a real live competitive battle that, again, doesn't count, but that's coming on Saturday. The game against Upper Iowa is set for 7 p.m. at the CHI Health Center. And obviously there's a lot of excitement for what this team could potentially do. I've got some observations, some notes, some things that I'm going to be looking for, and so I'll share those with you. A couple things I want to remind you of. Subscribe to this newsletter if you haven't already. Omaha.com/newsletter is a really easy spot to just plug that into your browser. You'll find a little box there. You just check, and then all of a sudden you get these weekly updates in your email inbox. And we're going to be revving up pretty good here as now that the season is, we're 2 weeks away. We're close to the start of the 2021-2022 basketball season, so a lot of Jays coverage, not just in the newsletter form, but also in our print newspaper, online. So if you haven't subscribed yet to the World-Herald, go do that as soon as possible. And tell your friends too. Like, this space is certainly something that I enjoy doing, and I have a lot of fun interacting with Creighton fans. So if you're a Blue Jay supporter, you know some Blue Jay supporters that want more, or want something different, or are intrigued about engaging in the conversation with me, do it. Send me an email, hit me up on Twitter. My DMs are open. I love chatting basketball any time of the day, any time of the week, so hit me up. The exhibition game. Obviously, you got to take these with a grain of salt, right? Like, the competition level is not the type of opponent that Creighton's going to face even in a couple weeks, but certainly in Big East play. And it's a debut. It's the first sort of run through of a game-like scenario for this group, and especially these guys are young and inexperienced and haven't had a lot of opportunities like this together. You know that there's going to be a lot of growing pains and work to do, not just after Saturday, but even going into the season. So we'll take it with a grain of salt. And honestly, you think back at some of the other exhibition games, even teams that came back with some questions already answered, or maybe fewer sort of uncertainties going into the year. Like, you look at, I don't know, what am I thinking, 2017 exhibition games. Manny Suarez had some pretty awesome moments there as the graduate transfer, and while he did make an impact on that team, he wasn't dropping double digits or getting a double-double, which he did in the exhibition. I think in 2018, Creighton started Samson Froling and Martin Krompel. I think those two guys started next to each other at the 4 and the 5, and that didn't hold up throughout the course of the season. 2016 exhibition, I remember Justin Patton. I think he played maybe 15 or 16 minutes, had 4 turnovers, missed all 3 of his free throws, scored 6 points, and you're thinking, well, yeah, he's got some work to do. Little did we know he was going to be an NBA draft pick, a lottery pick, the Big East Freshman of the Year that season. So you know that some things are going to happen where you're going to want to come away with a bunch of takeaways and make some assumptions or some predictions based on what you see on Saturday. I would caution you not to do that, but it's still going to be fun. And what we do as fans and reporters watching basketball, we like to talk about it and debate things. So this will give us the opportunity to do that. A few things I'm watching. Who's going to start? Like, Creighton has a lot of options, a lot of guys who are going to have the potential to contribute. So what's that starting lineup look like? I guess if you asked me today, my prediction probably would be Ryan Nembhard, Trey Alexander, Alex O'Connell, Ryan Hawkins, Ryan Kalkbrenner. So 3 Ryans plus Trey Alexander and Alex O'Connell. Arthur Kaluma is obviously in the mix to start. I wonder if the Jays are going to find different ways to use him, whether he plays at the 3 or the 4. They have some stability at the 5 with Keyshawn Feazell and Ryan Kalkbrenner there. Ryan Hawkins has been really consistent as sort of that stretch 4 guy, so he's going to play, and I would imagine that the Jays would prefer not to split minutes evenly with him and Kaluma. So where Kaluma fits will be interesting, whether he slides over to the 5 for a little bit or plays some 3. The Jays can go kind of big and a little bit long. We'll see, but he's kind of the wild card. So I don't know if he starts or not, but he's got a lot of talent, and the Jays want to utilize him too. So we'll see. Sharif Mitchell would be a candidate. I just don't know where he is at health-wise. It's something to watch on Saturday too. Does he play? Is he limited? The Jays just had their Fan Fest event last weekend, and Sharif didn't participate in the sort of on-court activities. He's battling back from off-season foot surgery, so that's another thing to watch. And a few other things I'm looking at. I mean, it's an exhibition. There's going to be mistakes, obviously, but Creighton the last couple of years has been a really good, disciplined decision-making team. They don't turn the ball over a lot. I think top 3 in the Big East in league play and turnover percentage the last 2 years. So can the Jays kind of bring that formula to this? Can this group adopt that same trait where they don't commit turnovers? So looking at decision making, that kind of stuff's going to improve as the year goes on and as their careers go on. But sort of what's the starting point for this group? So that I'm curious about that from a decision making standpoint, and defensively too. Where are they at in terms of their process of learning the system, being able to play that sort of collective team-first approach defensively, where they're covering for each other, helping one another out, rotating effectively within their man-to-man look. How many mistakes are made there? How well do they communicate? Just some of the basic stuff that's important for this team, and that will be important as they go throughout the year. And I mentioned some of this too, but like how Creighton utilizes its big men, I think will be interesting, because I meant Kalkbrenner is going into his sophomore year, has a chance to take a big jump. The Jays have been really encouraged by the impact of Keyshawn Feazell as a grad transfer. He's pretty versatile. He does different things than Ryan Kalkbrenner, but Coach McDermott said that he thinks those guys can complement each other well at the 5. And then the Ryan Hawkins, Arthur Kaluma tandem, those guys can both stretch the floor. They appear to be players who, in a one-on-one setting, if you need a bucket, they might be guys that you look to who can win that kind of matchup. Creighton always has that sort of, whether it's fair or not, hasn't been fair the last couple of years, sort of that reputation for being a more finesse team. Not necessarily going to, out-tough you or going to be more physical than you. Again, that was something that the Jays debunked the last 2 years, but it's a new group, and I feel like the tone setters in that area could be, an Arthur Kaluma, a Keyshawn Feazell, a Ryan Kalkbrenner, guys that have a lot of size, that play hard, that can impact the game just with their physical presence and their tenacity. I'm curious if they can make an impact that way, and I'll be looking to see how they do that. So just a few things to watch. Obviously, there's going to be plenty to take away, and like I said, we'll try to pump the brakes a little bit based on what we see, because the season, the Jays are going to play on Saturday. Then they have 10 more days to prepare for the season opener, and obviously months of basketball to where that things can change. Guys can move up and down in the depth chart and have really good runs, shooting slumps. So we'll see how it goes. But excited for Saturday. I know you are too. So follow all our coverage leading up to that game and then after it. And we'll be right back here next week to break it down within the newsletter. So I'm Jon Nyatawa with the World-Herald. Thank you for watching.